Hi again. So this is going to be part 2 of my stillbirth story. At this point, I believe my water has broken. I called my doctor. Doctor says, go to the hospital. You're about due. Just go. All right. Phone my mom, and I say to her, Mom, I need Dad to come and get Ashton, and I need you to come with us to the hospital. And my mom says, and that had always been the plan. Mom was going to come with us to the hospital. And, all right, so they're like, okay, we'll be right there. And then I start to cry. And my mom says, why are you crying? Don't be ridiculous. You've done this before. You're going to be fine. It'll be okay. I remember saying to her, Mom, I'm just so scared. And she said, don't be. You've done this before. You can do this. You know you'll be fine. All right. So, my husband paces. We wait for my parents to get there. My mom, they came in 2 separate vehicles. My dad took Ashton home with him. And my mom took Jeff and I to the hospital. We get to the hospital, and the way it works here is that they put you into a labor room. Either you get your own labor room or you labor in then. It's not like that now, but you either get your own labor room, and I believe there was like 2 or 3 of those, or you labor in a large room where there are 4 or 5 other women, and there's curtains dividing you. They put me in one of those rooms. So I'm in this large room, and there's 4 or 5 beds, I don't remember exactly, and there's curtains between us, and I know that there's a woman a few beds over from me in labor. I can hear her baby's heart beating on the monitor. I can, like hear all of that stuff. They put me in the bed. At that point, I could only have one person with me, so my husband stayed, and my mom opted to go to the waiting room. We're in this room, and the nurse says, I'm lying on the bed, and the nurse says, we're just going to monitor baby for a little bit, and, we didn't, at this point, had no clue what was going to happen. We did not know. I'm lying on the bed, and she puts the paddles on my belly to see if we can find a heartbeat. She can't find the heartbeat. So she says, this machine has been giving us a lot of problems lately. I'm just going to go into the other room, grab another set of paddles, and try to plug them in. All right. So she goes and she gets them, and I watch her try to plug it in. She tried to plug it in upside down, and I remember thinking, she's nervous. And so now I'm scared. So she tries to plug it in. She finally gets it plugged in. She puts it on my belly. Nothing. We can't get nothing. Then she says, well, I thought I heard, movement in there, so I'm just going to get the handheld Doppler, and we'll try that way. At this point, I'm freaking because I suspect this is not going to go well. So she gets the handheld Doppler, and she tries. She says to me, where does your doctor usually find the heartbeat? So I, tell her. She tries and tries. Nothing. There's nothing. So then she looks at me and she says, I'm just going to go get the doctor and have him come in and do an ultrasound. At that point I started to cry. And I said, I want my mom. And she said, okay, I'll go get your mom for you. And we'll be right back. Alright, so she goes and she gets my mom. And my mom comes in. And she's like, what's the matter? And I said, Mom, they can't find a heartbeat. And she said, it'll be okay. Everything's fine. It'll be okay. And I'm like, alright. So Mom stays with me and she's holding my hand. And I think my husband was just so shocked. He didn't know what to make of this. This was his first child. He didn't know. How do you expect this? I didn't know that babies die. That they can just die. I didn't know. They don't teach you that in your birthing classes, and they should. But they don't, because they don't want to scare people. And so here I am, just turned 20, just barely turned 20, a few months, maybe 8 weeks, roughly, with a 2-year-old child at home, having to deliver this child that probably is not alive any longer. Doctor comes in, does the ultrasound, and he had the machine turned at me, and at one point you could see a heartbeat on the screen, and I felt him reach down and touch my wrist. And as soon as he touched my wrist, I could feel my heart beating the same way it was beating on the screen. So I knew that was my heartbeat, not the baby's. He just looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry, but there's no heartbeat." And at that point, I mean, my world crashed. I'm in this room with another woman whose baby's heart is beating, and mine's gone. And I don't know what has to happen now. I don't know. So my nurse takes me and my husband and my mom down a little hallway. I do not remember walking there. I don't remember the room. I know that I have had other children in the same room that I delivered my stillborn son in, but I don't know. I would not be able to, because I don't know. I think that sometimes things are just so hard for you that your body just forgets, because it's easier to forget than try to remember. I do remember being in this room, and my nurse was really young, bless her little heart. She's really young. She came in, and we were all crying, and she started to cry, and she turned around, she didn't say anything, she just walked out. And shortly thereafter, an older woman came in, and her name was Irma. It's the only nurse's name I've ever remembered, and I've had 5 children. But her name was Irma, and she was the sweetest woman. If she could have brought me the moon, she would have. Anyway, Irma came in, and she stayed with me. And, you know, it was a hard thing for me to understand. I kept thinking, they're wrong. I would go through points where they're wrong. This baby's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. They weren't wrong. They were never wrong. We were given the option of being put on Pitocin to speed up the labor or wait for the labor to happen naturally. We opted to do the Pitocin. I just wanted to get it over with. I didn't want to drag it on. I wanted to be done. I was also given an epidural because I did not need to labor through the pain. Nothing could hurt the baby, so it was already so emotionally painful for me. Why did it need to be physically painful for me as well? We were asked options. When babies are born here, they're automatically put on your stomach and you can pull them up to your chest or whatever. Did I want them to do that, or did they want them to clean him up and then hand him to me? My mom told them to clean him up and hand him to me because I didn't know. We didn't know. I remember looking at my mom and saying, "How am I going to pay for a funeral? I should be bringing a baby home, not..." I remember her begging her to go and take the nursery apart, which she didn't do, and I'm glad she didn't. My nurse told her not to because I would need to do that as closure. I just remember it hurting so much. So we're put on Pitocin around probably 10 p.m. Everything kind of happened so quickly. We left for the hospital about 6:30, 6:45. So right around 10, they probably put the Pitocin on. Mackenzie Wade was born June 30th at 3:01 in the morning. He was amazing. Again, I'm almost at 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop here, and then we'll go to his birth from there, and then we'll finish it up that way.